Hi everyone, today I'm going to be doing a neutral look, which I know there's 1,000 of these all over YouTube, but it was actually requested by Glamorous Me 813, so thanks for putting in a request and I'm more than happy to do it. So I've started with my base, obviously, I've used the Body Shop Moisture Foundation. It's got an SPF of 15, great for the summertime, just for that little bit of extra SPF. Now I wouldn't count on this just for a full SPF on the face. You definitely need more than an SPF 15 in the summer. Then I used erase paste under the eyes, set with some Powderflage, both by Benefit. I love both of them used together. And then I've used Max Select Moisture Cover in NC 15 on the face. And it actually doesn't seem to look that bad in the camera, but in real life my face actually looks quite a lot lighter than my body. So what I'm going to do, just to perk up the face a little bit, I'm going to use Bourjois Delice de Poudre, and I'm going to just very lightly dust this all over the face to use kind of as a setting powder, but mainly just to take my foundation up one shade darker. Obviously if you've got a foundation that fits you perfectly, you don't need to do this. So for bronzing, what we want to do, take some, put it on your hand and then circle. I do it with a fluffy brush just because I don't want the dark of the bronzing to be concentrated. I want it to be quite subtle but there at the same time. So what I'm doing is I'm starting the circle from the middle and I'm circling the main part of the bronzer onto the top of the cheekbone. Then we'll take it straight up onto the temple and then up where the hairline is. That's where you really want to start it, and then just blending by tapering it in like that. And you'd want to do the same on both sides. So that's the bronzing done. Now we're going to go into the eyes. I'm using MAC Painterly Paint Pot. It's just a nice flesh toned colour. I'm going to zoom in for this. So I'm using, like I said, MAC Painterly Paint Pot. You can use anything, Urban Decay Primer Potion, anything. I'm just using this because it goes with the neutral look. So I'm going to take my mirror and just place it there. So if you see me looking down, you know I'm looking into this mirror, but I won't move my face. So you only need the smallest amount of this. If you've got really oily eyelids, you might find that you'd need a primer. But for my eyelids, because I have quite dry eyelids, this works more than enough for me. That is the base. As you can see, it's very unnoticeable. It just really evens out the colour of the eyelids. So now what I've done is I've taken some of the eyeshadows out of my 15 palette and put them in here for this tutorial. So what I'm going to do is take any type of brush for this that isn't too stiff. So I'm using this because it's not too fluffy and it's just a Body Shop blending brush. So I'm going to be using the Body Shop blending brush, and as you can see, this one isn't too stiff and it's not too fluffy. So it's not like a shading brush where it's going to pack a lot on, but at the same time it's not too fluffy where it's not going to apply enough. So I'm taking Brule, which is this creamy colour here. The colours that we're using for this look, by the way, are Brule, Wedge, Satin Taupe, and I've put Mylar in there, but I'm not sure if we're going to be using it yet because I want to keep it as simple as possible. So we're taking Brule, applying it all over the lid, and then all the way up to the eyebrow. This is a great look for if you're at school and you're not wanting anything too dramatic. You can obviously take the colour as far as you want, or as little as you want. And then onto the other eyebrow. And these colours are easy dupeable. I know that Wet n Wild, which isn't available in the UK, they definitely do a dupe for Brule. In fact, I think it's actually called Brule. And I'm going on all this on reviews what I've watched myself. I've not actually seen them in real life, but I've seen them compared next to each other and they look like pretty good dupes to me. So that's that applied all over the eyelid. As you can tell, it's not made all that much of a difference. It's just given a nice even base with a powder, so it's making it easier for the crease colour and all that to be blended in. So now I'm taking a E40 by Sigma, and it's just a nice fluffy brush, and I'm using Wedge, which is here, and I'm applying that into the crease. Using a fluffy brush is going to make it a softer look and more transitioned rather than a more definite, which is what I've used this morning. E25, like the MAC 217, that is going to give you more of a concentrated look. So I'm just going to place this on the contours of the eye. So you basically go in where your eye socket is here. You're just following the ball of your eye round. And as you can see, this brush does all the work for you, and you can just place it on the outside of your eye and swirl. And that is that colour done already. And then the same on the other eye. So that is the crease colour applied. Just a nice soft colour, and by the way, this eye might look a tad bit darker than that eye because the light is pointing in that direction. So that's that colour applied, and now we're going in with a little bit of Satin Taupe. And the reason I chose these colours is just because I know that they are available to dupe in Wet n Wild. I'm not sure what the dupe is for Satin Taupe, but I know there is one. Now I'm going to rack my brain because I know there is one and I'm not too sure what it is. So what I'll do is I'm going to take a flat shader brush, put some of that on, and I'm just going to pat it on the very, very outside corner. Like this. At an angle. So you're going up like this. So as you can see, that just deepens that outer edge just a tiny bit. And then the same on the other side. So that's that done. Now we're just going to take the fluffy brush that we used for the crease colour, and we are just going to very lightly buff over that, just to buff it into the rest of that colour there. But we don't want to over buff, so it's just one big blur of colour. It's just to literally make it blend in. So that is the eye colour done. Now we're going to go in with a bit of eyeliner, and I've chosen Urban Decay's Bourbon, a nice bronzy brown with shimmer, gold shimmer, and just to keep this as natural as possible, I'm just applying it to the outer corner, which is what I usually tend to do with my makeup anyway. What I'm going to do is just apply it underneath as well, just to the outer corner on the tight line, so you're just going up and pushing it into the lash line. This will make your eyelashes appear thicker. So that's that done. Now, you can leave it like that if you want, or you can use a little bit of the Wedge or Satin Taupe. I'm just going to use a little bit of the Satin Taupe to make it a little bit more visible, and use that as an eyeliner. And I'm using a pencil brush for this just because I want it to be a little bit more smoked out and not as defined and obvious. I mean, it's obvious I've got makeup on, but what I mean is it isn't a definite line that's there, like if I used the MAC 226 for example. That would definitely give a more precise line. If you want it like that, go for it. Now I'm applying mascara, which is Rimmel's Lash Accelerator in Brown Black 002. The reason I'm not actually showing you the label is because it's absolutely rubbed off by now. Look at my nail. I used my thingy kit the other day, my nail kit that I showed in a haul the other day. So apply your Lash Accelerator mascara, or any mascara. If you're going for a neutral look, it's nice to use brown black sometimes, unless you're quite if you're quite dark yourself and you don't think that this is going to show up on you, then by all means use black, or if you just prefer black. The key thing to do with all tutorials is to do what's comfortable for you. So that's that done. You can do the bottom lashes. I personally don't, unless I'm going for a really dramatic look. So that is the eyes done. Very simple, very neutral, and I hope you like that. Now we're doing the cheeks, and for the cheeks and lips I'm using the same product, and it's Posie Tint. The Body Shop also do some of these lip and cheek tints. One's a bronzy pink colour, which is really pretty, and then one is red, like Benetton. Apart from Benefit's formula is a lot better. It's more of a gel base, so you can blend it out a lot easier, and you get a little bit more give with it. In other words, you get a bit more time. So Posie Tint, the trick is to get it on, blend instantly. So I'm just going to apply a couple of stripes like this and then blend it straight away. And I think the key to this is just to have a nice pink flush and not so much a really bright pink cheek, because you don't really want to build this up too much because it is a stain. So that's that. And now I'm also going to apply some on the lips. It just gives a really nice pink, a fresh pink look, that's the word I'm looking for. So that's the look all done. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll give you a close up on the eyes. So as you can see, it is really natural. Yep, so as you can see, it's really natural and not very hard work. There's only 3 colours there, and it doesn't take too much blending, and the lip and cheek colour is 1 colour. And I really hope you enjoyed it. So yep, thank you for requesting this. Glamorous Me 813. I've actually got that written on my hand because I'm not very good at remembering usernames. Yep, so thank you for doing the request, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye.